Chapter 17 to 18. General POV. After confirming Viper's death and witnessing his body getting cremated, Amon returned to the tribe with a satisfied spirit. Viper's burning ashes brought Amon a sense of peace, as he felt a sense of freedom after 8 long years. While enjoying this feeling, Amon hummed while he returned to the tribe. Amon sighed as he reached the village. Now that Viper's gone, this place feels like home, Amon said as he enjoyed the smell of the fresh sleeping gas. This type of sleeping gas does not affect the current Amon, as he had previously done many experiments on his body with these harmless gases. The whole tribe was sleeping, with only Amon being the one awake. Still, he used his observation hockey to check if things were as he left or not. Confirming the safety, Amon shook his head lightly. He was too skeptical. After all, unless he spreads the antidote of the gas, the people have a 0% chance to wake up before the 3 days time limit. However, Amon didn't have any reason to wake them up so early, as he started to enjoy the peaceful silence while walking towards the chief's house. After reaching there, Amon again checked if the chief was awake or not using his hockey. Double-checking that the chief was also sleeping, he then started to walk on the opposite side. Ignoring the sleeping chief and his house, Amon went to dead Viper's house. Entering without any prior checking, as if he owns the house, Amon then went and sat on the chair. Here, unlike Amon's house with only a bed and few accessories, Viper's had a chair, a table, along with a few other pieces of furniture in his room. Amon gave them a side glance. 3 days later, all of this will be his. Resisting his greed, Amon took out a few papers from the table's drawer. Few of them were empty, but the others contained the handwriting of Viper in the ancient language. Fu! Without wasting any time, Amon released his observation at full power, concentrating it solely on copying Viper's handwriting. Asterisk. That just unbelievable. I know, right? Around Viper's hut, a big crowd was gathered, containing almost every tribesman, except for Amon, who was so injured after the fight with Viper that he couldn't even move. Outside the hut, the chief was standing with a sheet of paper in his hand, the handwriting being Viper's. Sigh. The chief sighed. Everyone listen. Hearing the chief's voice, everyone stopped their chattering. As you have already realized, we've been unconscious for 3 whole days, and now that we have finally regained consciousness, we seem to be missing the former leader of the Shandya warriors, Viper. Hearing him, the tribesmen again started to chatter. They were very surprised, but they were more confused. All right, calm down. The chief then raised his hand along with the paper. You see this, he said. This is a letter left by Viper. And I've also verified this as his own handwriting. As everyone looked towards the paper, the chief sighed. Sigh. Now coming to the contents of the paper itself. He stopped for a short while. It's like this, to my dear tribesmen. In my whole life, I've mistreated all of you, even my son, and I'm aware that apologizing now won't change anything. However, I will still ask for forgiveness one last time. As for the reason for all this drama, it's because of the battle that happened last time. Truth be told, I was confident that I would win. However, I never in my dreams would have thought that I would lose to a kid. Took me a while to accept it. However, the reality is in front of me now, and I've fully accepted it too. Yet, even if I try to change myself presently, nothing will work. After all, now that I'm injured like this, there aren't many chances for me to change. I obviously don't blame that kid for this though. He did what he had to, and it's not as if I was going easy on him. The chief then flipped the page. It seems he wrote too much before death. Now, in this state, I'm practically useless. But as a warrior, I can't take this. I have decided to attack Upper Yard this night. I know I will lose. However, instead of dying like this, bedridden my whole life, I would like to die like a warrior, like my ancestors did. However, I'm sure if I try to attack Upper Yard normally, you guys will stop me. So I have spread sleeping gas all around. For that reason, you won't be up for 3 days. Please stay safe, my tribesmen. The chief had a frown on his face as he finished reading the letter out loud. He calls this a warrior's death? Pathetic. Not only did he literally commit suicide, but he also left the whole tribe unconscious. What if an enemy attack happened last night? Won't that have caused their massacre? All the tribesmen had this type of thought. Even Viper, though he was very sad and, if possible, would love to bring his dad back to life, he also felt ashamed that a man, who called himself warrior, would act like this. He can feel people's gaze filled with anger in his back. Why? Don't look at me like that. Viper almost broke out crying. Not only is his father dead, now he's being looked at like this. This isn't my fault. He screams internally. The chief sent a few people to check if Viper is really dead, or if he was kept hostage. The raiders, after reaching Upper Yard, and seeing God's army partying while gossiping about Viper's cremation, returned without picking a fight. Now the whole tribe was sure that Viper was dead. People were sad, however, they were still pretty angry at what he did. Many even lost respect for him, as some even started to call him a coward openly. In the end, however, he was once their leader who had done several things for them. So they still attended the memorial service held for him at the graveyard in the most southern part of the village. It was around the same place where Viper flew last time. As children were joking, Amon's kick let Viper fly directly to his grave. Though one glance from the adults was enough to stop their mouth. The adults realized that Viper's name had already been polluted, and in the future generation, he will be seen as a coward. At least the one getting the limelight is none other than Amon, the current leader. That's a good thing, they thought. Hey, you kid, I told you to stay in your bed. Saying this, Isa pulled Amon by his arms, who was about to fall face first. Arg, let me go. Amon staggered as he walked slowly while dragging his left leg that had been rendered unable to move. He was going to Viper's memorial. It would leave an empty place in his heart if he doesn't attend it. However, Isa was strictly against it, as she knew he should just lay down on the bed. After all, he was injured. If he moves too much, his wounds might open again. You don't get it. He is my uncle. How can I not be present at his memorial? Amon said, as his eyes became teary. After all, in the end, I'm technically the one who killed him. Amon had a little argument with Isa, who now had a small bulge on her belly, proving her pregnancy. A few minutes later, Isa gave in as she accompanied him along with Riki. At the graveyard, the first thing he encountered was the crowd. As all of the tribesmen were present, while many of them glanced at him, their gaze becoming soft, they started to whisper, "Poor child. He lost his parents at birth, and the one blood relative he had, even he is dead." One of them said, "Even if Viper wasn't the best uncle, having a relative was better than nothing. No, along with Viper, he is also alone." Another one joined. "Look at his red eyes. I don't know how much he cried," he said. "He must be blaming himself for all this." Amon ignored them as if he couldn't hear them at all, and looked at the corner of the crowd. In the corner of the crowd, a kid was standing, his head down, and he had tear-red eyes. He was Viper, who clenched his teeth seeing Amon. That bastard Amon is the root of all of this, Viper thought. Amon chuckled internally. He must be cursing me right now. I can even feel his emotions. Oh, is this a observation hockey advancement? Amon thought, surprised. Only good things are happening after Viper's death. Amon thought while approaching Viper slowly. Oh. Viper's body flinched as he felt a hand on his shoulder. Hey, cuz, it was Amon. Viper didn't answer, and Amon also didn't say anything. Both of them just stared at the gravestone in front of them, wearing a blank and sad expression. Soon Amon slowly opened his mouth. Cuz, this is very sad. He was our best warrior, and yet, we can't even do a proper funeral for him. Each of Amon's words enraged Viper more. As he clenched his fist, he wanted to shout, "Bastard, this is all your fault." However, he knew this was wrong. After all, if he was in Amon's place, he would have also tried his best to win too. And it's not like anyone had expected Amon to win, not even him. So, in the end, it was all Viper's own fault for deciding to prove his warrior spirit. Tears started to fall in a singular line down his cheeks. However, he still clenched his jaws. Seeing this, Amon again snickered internally. But on the outside, he put his arms across Viper's shoulders and held them tightly, giving him a reassuring side hug. As he said, "If I were his place, I would have done the same. Sacrificing yourself for your tribe, or for someone you respect." Amon stopped and looked at Viper with a smile. "To me, that's the most honorable death possible." Viper also looked at him, as Amon moved his gaze up towards the sky with a smile. However, there was no sky. The sun wasn't there. The stars weren't visible. The cloud dome was imprisoning them, isolating them from the rest of the world. This wasn't that isolating for the other tribesmen, however. Amon, who lived in an open habitat before, hated this feeling of being imprisoned. He wanted to be free, but stuck in this place, he himself felt secluded and stagnant. However, though he was frustrated, he had enough self-control to not mess things up. Rather, use this as a weapon for himself. He then pointed his fingers up. "You see that?" he said, as all the people around looked towards them. "We are supposed to be the great Shandya warriors, the warriors who fought alongside the great kingdom 800 years ago. But now," Amon stopped for a while, as he noticed not only Viper but many other people were also looking towards him. "But now, we're just birds trapped inside a giant cage." Everyone stayed silent hearing him. No matter how much they called themselves great warrior, inside they all knew the current they were nothing but As Amon said, birds inside a cage. Wiper. Ignoring the gaze, Amon looked at him. I know you are sad. You might even be so angry at me that you want to kill me. However, Amon said. However, we need to move forward. We need to fight. Your father, my father, our ancestor, we have to keep up with their wishes. He then stopped talking and looked at Wiper's eyes. He was a little taller than him, so he was looking down at him. As he said with great resolution, I'm strong, but we are stronger. Give up on your grudges towards me, your own blood. I want you to become strong. Strong enough to one day, if something happens to me, you can be a great leader. Amon put forward his hand. As he said, promise me, O warrior Wiper, you, with me, will fulfill our ancestors' orders. A few seconds passed as people paid great attention to the two. Wiper's eyes started to widen while his mouth started to open. As he started to realize, his goal wasn't to be the leader. It also wasn't to surpass Amon, but it was just to protect everything his ancestors left behind. Protect everything until the golden bell rings again. After a second, without any hesitation, Wiper put forward his hands atop of Amon's. As he grinned, with tears still falling down his chest. Yes, big brother. Shandorians are strong together. He took all his words to heart. He will work hard to one day surpass him. But the important thing was to accomplish his ancestors' will. A month later, General POV. In the Shandia village, the raiders were having a conference as around 25 men were standing line by line, with Amon in front of them, while the chief was sitting in a corner. During the past month, things were a little bleak for the tribe. However, humans tend to move forward, so did they. Partly because death is quite common in a tribe that's been fighting for close to 400 years. Most of them were moving forward with their life now. Cough. Everyone. Releasing a fake cough, Amon grabbed everyone's attention. Today was the first day where all the raiders have gathered in one place under Amon's command. And if being truthful, Amon was in a quite uneasy position. After all, although he had experience in leading small groups of kids, he was a little awkward on doing the same for these grown-up warriors. However, he had to start from somewhere, and that somewhere was here. As people looked at him expecting to hear something, suddenly, Amon looked away towards the corner of a tent and wailed, Hey Riki! Come out here! The sneaky Riki flinched hearing him. She was peeking at them from the corner of a tent, just like how her anime counterpart used to do. But hearing Amon call her out, she slowly came out with a flustered face, as other people also looked at her. I was just deep. Amon glared at her, making her stop making excuses. Amon lightly shook his head and sighed. Riki, I already said you don't need to be a warrior, Amon said in a seemingly overprotective tone. Obviously, he knew not making Riki into a fighter would be a massive waste, but according to his calculation, he had to act for now. Riki, I'll say this once, if you really want to become a warrior, and if you really want to listen, then stand in the line, Amon declared, pointing at the line. A warrior should never be hiding. After that, Riki also stood in the line. Though some of the warriors looked quite displeased at this, Amon didn't care. He then moved his attention back to the warriors again, as he clasped his hands behind his back. Back to the point, I really want to take back our land and... He then side-glanced at Wiper. Also take revenge on God's militia for killing my uncle, he said. However, we are weak. We are short in numbers. We lack dials, but most importantly, we depend too much on sky combat. Ha! Hearing his words, the warriors exclaimed their surprise. Ignoring them, Amon continued, Yes, I'm suggesting that we ignore the modern weapons and sky combat for a while, and solely focus on our physical training for a while. Huh? What does that mean? Wiper asked. If we don't fight in sky combat, won't our chance of winning go down? But unlike his mocking questions towards Amon until a few months ago, this was purely a desire to understand. His mentality has somewhat changed into believing near everything Amon said, partly because he is someone who has been raised in a tribe that taught him to fully accept the legitimate leader. Partly, Wiper's question made sense to the tribesmen, as they nodded. Even Amon did. Amon made a thinking posture. I agree with Wiper. Wiper flinched hearing Amon refer him by his name. This demonstrated his current professional demeanor. Ignoring him, Amon then continued, Like Wiper, many of you must also be confused. You must be asking yourselves, how much can our body help in a fight against a strong dial user? Isn't that right? Yes, that's right. One of the old gen raiders instantly replied. We acknowledge you are strong. However, that's only because Ancestor Calgara's blood flows through your body. He went silent, then said, We are not like that. He said the last line with a sense of envy hidden in it. That's true. Many of the tribesmen agreed, while Riki and Wiper just waited for Amon's words. Well, Amon then chuckled lightly. Maybe I now know why you guys never succeed in taking back Upper Yard. His face then came to be disgusted. Bunch of idiots. Veins popped up in the raiders' head. As their warrior pride got hurt, one of them yelled, "Little bastard Amon, watch what you are saying. Don't get over your dash." "Oh, shut up." But he was interrupted by Amon's annoyed howl. "You!" He pointed his finger toward the one who just yelled. "Your name is Matt, right? You are currently the weakest old generation raider. Your body was strong enough to handle a burn bazooka when you turned 17. How dare you shout at me? Who gave you the permission to call me a bastard?" The raider named Matt's eyes twitched as they heard his words. After a short silence, Amon made a mocking smile. "Why are you looking at me like that? What can you do? Do you even have the strength to beat me?" Suddenly, Amon gulped and took a step back. "Oh, I forgot, you have the dials. I'm so scared." "That's it." Matt couldn't hold it any longer as he dashed towards Amon. "I don't care if you are the leader. I will show you the power of impact." He used his shooter to move fast while holding an impact dial in his hand. Impact! His hand touched Amon's chest, and he just stood there.
Asterisk boom. Asterisk.
A small explosion occurred. The explosion cleared up, and a completely fine Amon came to their view, while Matt was on his knees, with one of his hands holding the one which was shaking profusely from the impact. Amon had used Tekai to boost his defense, though he couldn't keep it up for 5 seconds. It did the job. However, he didn't have any plans to let the other tribesmen know this. Pitiful. Was that all? Amon looked down at Matt. He wanted to show him impact? Fortunately, he had no idea Amon's own custom impact is 5x stronger than normal ones, yet that doesn't do him any damage. Amon then kicked the guy away as he flew a bit far. "I don't even feel itchy, yet you almost lost your arm. This just proves the difference in our body power." Amon inspected the wide mouth expression of everyone around him. Soon, he released a sigh, massaging his temple. "Listen, I'm not asking you to give up using dials. You can use them, or even do personal things with it," Amon said with a wry smile. "Anyway, I don't care. I'm just asking you guys to train your bodies a little. If this doesn't work, we can just go back." His words seemed logical, however, many of the raiders refuted. "But that's just a waste of time. We are in a war of nearly 400 years. Are you suggesting we waste more time?" One of them said as many others joined. "Let's attack Upper Yard already. What's there to wait for?" They shouted, and a quarrel almost broke out. But Amon then meddled in. Hey, he said in a calm voice. "You know who I am, right?" he asked, pointing a finger towards him. "I, the warrior Amon, am all of you guys' leader." As if a personality change, his face went emotionless. "Attack Upper Yard? That's for me to decide," he said. "Also hear this, from now on, if you want to call yourself a raider or a warrior as a whole, then you would need your leader's approval, meaning MY approval," Amon said as he stomped in the ground hard. Everyone's eyes twitched hearing him. Yes, it was shocking and impressive that he can take an impact head-on, but now he thinks they need his approval to be a raider? That is just too much.
EAN, Xianxiavib.
In this tribe, everyone is a warrior from birth, but if one wants to be a raider, they need a certain amount of power, strength, proficiency at dials, etc. If they met this requirement, even the leader wasn't supposed to oppose that. "Hey, listen, kid," a raider said. "You are only 9, yet you are strong enough to be our leader. However, even that isn't enough to convey this order of yours." An adult raider said. Amon recognized him as a guy named Grid, from the Dead Vipers team. Amon knew this type of question was unavoidable, so of course, he had prepared the answers beforehand. Now, he said slowly, "I'm aware of the rules, but let's not forget, everything that has to do with the raiders is up to me, the leader, to decide. Even the chief doesn't have any saying in this." As he said this, the chief nodded from the sidelines. He already discussed this topic with Amon. The raiders frowned. Their displeasure was as clear as clean water. Seeing this, Amon chuckled. "All right," he raised his hand. "I know this is a little too much for that reason, and also as a benevolent leader, I will give all of you one last chance." This piqued everyone's interest. "I, the leader of Shandia warriors, the warrior Amon, challenges all of you to a battle. Me against all of you. A 1v25 match." Just as he said this, everyone's eyes widened in shock. Without giving them any chance to ask any question, Amon continued. "However, this won't be a battle like mine and Vipers. Rather, here all of you can use your dials," Amon said. "Including me, of course." Hearing this, the so-called warriors gulped. As Amon continued, "If any of you, or maybe all of you, can defeat me and go unconscious, then not only will I not do what I said, I will also pass my leader position to a capable person," he said as he looked at everyone's face. Hearing the last line, all of them slowly started to pull out their dials from their bags. Oh, by the way, Amon said, glancing at Riki. Any of you can quit if you want. Riki quickly got out of the line as she heard this. For a second, Wiper also wanted to do the same, but he changed his mind. He wanted to check his leader's strength by himself. Amon let them get prepared, as he also took out his custom-made special dials. Then looking at them again, Amon said calmly exclaimed, "All right, you so-called warriors, prove your worth." Unknown to any of them, Amon's bag was filled with dials that can even match weak devil fruits in power. Asterisk. The fight of Amon against the 25 warriors has been going on for close to an hour, and 6 of the warriors were already down, Wiper being one of them, mostly because they are the young ones. But the fight with the adults was a bit hard, even for him. If dials were forbidden to use, he might even have eventually lost. Everyone against him had shooters, dials, and other machinery with them. Amon was able to take out the younger ones since they didn't have much experience in dial uses. However, even with his custom dials, up against 19 adults who've been fighting in sky combat for their whole life, Amon was a little out of breath. If this was a big battleground like Upper Yard, he would have already taken all of them down, but unfortunately it's not, and rather a small cramped place. Still, time was on his side, because these so-called warriors' stamina couldn't match the 8 years old in front of them, since they rarely train their body. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Just like that, the battle continued. It's been around 12 hours, and every Shandia was surrounding the place where the battle took place, along with their gaping mouth. Huff! Someone was sitting on top of a pile of trashes while breathing heavily. Well, that was easy. That someone being Amon, as he stated. Under him laid the pile of trashes. The trash being the so-called warriors, the raiders. Every one of them was hurt, and some were even unconscious, while some had their consciousness. They were too exhausted to move. Not only the spot where the battle took place, but the whole village showed signs of the battle. As many tents were destroyed by burned bazookas, and many trees inside the dome were also busted. While Amon didn't have any particular injury, except for his burned skin, proving the collision he received from bazooka, yet he was grinning like a madman. After all, not only did this help his body reach a new level of strength, but he also got to show off his powers to the tribe. Haha! Laughing, he took in a big breath. Everyone, from this moment onwards, you all have lost the permission to refer to yourself as a raider and warrior to per se. Only after you reach a certain level of strength and convince me that you are strong, will you get this permission back. I don't want any random bug to ruin the Shandorian warrior name.